Again, in today's lecture, what we'll be doing is we will be revising some of the concepts of merger and acquisition, and then we'll be moving forward to solving some of the questions of merger and acquisition. We started with a very simple concept, EPS, that is nothing but earnings divided by number of shares of particular company. PE ratio, which is nothing but MPS divided by EPS. And then we found out how to find out the market price per share can also be PE ratio multiplied by EPS. The concept came after merger. What will be EPS? 1-2 basically means earning per share of a company after merger, which was nothing but earnings of company 1 plus total earnings of company 2 plus synergic gain in terms of earnings divided by N1 plus N2 into exchange ratio, where N2 into exchange ratio is nothing but number of shares that are issued to selling companies' shareholders. If you want to find out MPS 1-2, it is nothing but EPS 1-2 multiplied by PE ratio of 1-2. PE ratio of 1-2, if it is given, it is better. If it is not given, you can take PE ratio of a purchasing company, which is not absolutely invalid assumption. Sorry. Then we went on finding out profits and losses of shareholders of purchasing company. So shareholders of purchasing company. If you want to find out a profit or loss, please understand it is very simple. N1 into EPS 1-2, which is a post-merger EPS, minus EPS 1 will give you profit or loss. Sir, why didn't you give this formula at the start of the lecture? Because I want you to understand the concept logically and not by formula. Alright. This is direct profit and loss that we will be getting. It is nothing but N1 into EPS 1-2. That is post-merger earnings. N1 into EPS 1 is subtracted from it. So that is pre-merger earnings of purchasing company. Is it alright? And of course, this is based upon earnings. Is it alright? Of a selling company, profit or loss will be this. N2 into EPS 1-2. No, they don't get the same number of shares. So what you should be finding out is equivalent EPS 1-2 minus EPS 2 will be nothing but answer of profit or loss. Is it alright? Whenever you want to find out the purchasing companies or selling companies in terms of market value, there will be just one change. The EPS will be replaced by MPS. Is it alright? Then you will be getting answer in terms of market value. Is it alright? Those are benefits and loss to shareholders. Now, whatever we have learned, if the exchange ratio is based upon earnings, if the exchange ratio is based upon MPS, if the exchange ratio is based upon book value, what will be the effect, what are the synergic gain? Believe me, that are all conceptual ideas. For examination purpose, believe me, this is enough. Is it alright? But still, I want you to understand the concept logically. If the difficult question is asked from merger and acquisition, you all should feel that it is an easy question and not a difficult question. If you are absolutely sound, what are the profits and losses after merger? What is PE ratios gain? What is the synergic gain in terms of earnings, in terms of market value? You should be knowing each and everything. Here, in this case, equivalent EPS, we have not done this, where equivalent EPS is nothing but EPS 1-2 multiplied by exchange ratio. If you want to find out equivalent MPS, it will be MPS 1-2 multiplied by exchange ratio. You can write down this all formulas in your formula book and easily solve the questions of merger and acquisition. My request is don't mug it up, try to understand it logically. Also, we understood whenever we do merger and acquisition, we are doing valuation of a selling company practically. How much money or how much worth or how much amount of shares we are paying to shareholders of a selling company. Normally, what is issued is the shares of purchasing company. Right. So, how much amount should be paid to shareholders of selling company? It may be based upon market value. It may be based upon market value. Believe me, then exchange ratio will be MPS of selling company divided by MPS of purchasing company. How much worth is given to shareholders of selling company? It is nothing but N2 into MPS2. This is the worth which, this is how you value the selling company. Issued shares of purchasing company at what rate? At market price per share. Sir, this we have not done. This will be automatic when you find out exchange ratio by this method. Is it alright? When exchange ratio is based upon book value, what you are paying them is N2 into book value per share. Again, at what rate it is issued is book value. Purchasing company shares are issued at book value. What will be if exchange ratio based upon book value? Book value per share of selling company divided by book value per share of purchasing company. Let's try. If you are going to do it by earnings, we have done it EPS of selling company divided by EPS of purchasing company. How you are valuing it is N2 into EPS2. This is how you are valuing the selling company. And it is issued at earning per share. And this is how the concept came directly of finding out exchange ratio by this formula. And this is how you are valuing actually the selling company. This is logical idea which you need to understand it. This is alright. This you will always remember how to find out exchange ratio. Let us go to some of the conceptual sums. Alright, yesterday we also did one important thing, try to concentrate. Alright, it was value of merger. Today we are going to learn one more new concept, that is real cost of merger. What we have already learned is value of merger. What is value of merger? I will tell you. Sorry. Market value of merged entity minus market value of purchasing company before merger. So it is practically market value of purchasing company after merger minus market value of purchasing company before merger. Is it alright? So this is nothing but value of merger. Sir, this much amount I should be paying to shareholders of selling company. Agreed, but this is the maximum amount. But if someone asks you what is value of merger, this is how you find out. Is it alright? If someone asks you what is the true cost of merger? If someone tells you to find out what is the true cost of merger, I will be finding out in this first question that we are going to do. I'll come over here again and write down the formula how to find out the true cost of merger or what is actually true cost of merger. 7.3.1. Elron Limited plans to acquire Doom Limited. The relevant financial details of two firms to the merger announcement are as under. This is purchasing company. This is a selling company. Market price per share is given in number of shares outstanding is given. The merger is expected to generate gains which have a present value of 200 lakhs. It is gains because of merger. Let me write it down. Gains because of merger are termed as synergic gain, which is 200 lakhs. The idea is whether it is synergic gain based upon earnings or synergic gains based upon value or market value. Sorry. See, try to concentrate what are synergic gains based upon earnings. Suppose two companies are merging, say company 1 and company 2. They are going to merge. There will be, I have explained you synergic gain. It is reduction in cost or it is increase in revenue. So there is a benefit because both companies are merging. In first year, the benefit is 10 lakhs. In second year, it is 10 lakhs. In third year, it is 10 lakhs. In fourth year, it is 12 lakhs and it is going on and on. Suppose let me take 10 lakhs every year. Then this 10 lakhs is the synergic gain in terms of earnings per annum. This we take in numerator of EPS 1-2 over here. It is per annum only because earnings is per annum, this is per annum, this should be per annum. Correct. So there is a synergic gain based upon earnings. Sir, then what is synergic gain based upon value? Try to concentrate. This figure you cannot add it in market value. Then what will be done? You will be finding out discount rate of your company, of the merged company. What is the minimum required rate of return of your company? You will be finding out present value of the synergic gain. And the present value of synergic gain will become also synergic gain. But it is not in terms of earnings per annum. It is in terms of value. Or you can even term it as market value. Are you getting it? So, the merger is expected to generate gains which have a present value of 200 lakhs. So, this is based upon market value. Synergic gain based upon market value. Alright. The exchange ratio agreed is 0.5. So exchange ratio will be 0.50. I want a number of shares that are issued to selling company. Number of shares issued to shareholders of a selling company is N2 into exchange ratio, which is a 10 lakhs multiplied by 0.5, that is a 5 lakhs shares, will be issued to shareholders of selling company. The answer is yes. Sorry. What will be total number of shares? Alright, 5 lakh shares will be issued. Alright. Let us understand what the question is asking us. What is the true cost of the merger from the point of view of Elron Limited? What is a true cost of merger? Sorry. Try to understand first what is the meaning of true cost of merger. Sorry. First understand how much amount genuinely should be payable to the shareholders of Doom Limited. Start. How much amount should be payable? Try to concentrate. Amount that should be payable is nothing but how many shares they are having? 10 lakhs. If they go and sell the shares in the market, what rate they are getting? 25. So what amount they should be getting? They should be getting 250 lakhs. Genuinely. Is it correct? Genuinely, because this market value is going to be added in the merged company. And so we need to pay them this. Is it right? If I am giving you 2 pens like this, and each pen is having a market value of 10 rupees, I need to pay you 20 rupees. Is it correct? So this is the amount that should be payable based upon market value. Is it correct? Now I am finding out what actual worth I am giving. Is it correct? It is what actual Elron Limited is giving to Doom Limited. What we are giving them? We are giving them 5 lakh shares of Elron Limited. Yes, but after merger, not before merger. Huh? They will be getting MPS 12, that is market price per share 12. Is it correct? So, sir, I need to find out MPS 12. Absolutely. Is it correct? Let me find out MPS 12, but for that I need to find out market value of merged entity. Is it correct? I am finding out market value of merged entity. What is market value of Elron Limited? 20 lakhs into 50? What is market value of Doom Limited is 25 into 10 lakhs. Plus synergic gain in terms of market value. It is available. Synergic gain in terms of market value. It is available. Plus 200 lakhs divided by N1 plus N2 into exchange ratio. Which will be N2 into exchange ratio, we are already knowing. It is 5 lakhs. N1 is 20 lakhs. So denominator will be 25 lakhs. Is it correct? This is 5 2s are 10, 1000 lakhs plus 250 lakhs plus 200 lakhs divided by 25 lakhs. This will be MPS 12. This will be MPS 12. Start it. MPS 12 is nothing but 1450 divided by 25. It is 58. Sorry, 58 rupees is MPS 12. Please concentrate how I have found out. Huh? What is this? Market value of company 1. What is this? Plus market value of company 2. What is this? Plus synergic gain divided by N1 plus N2 into exchange ratio is nothing but MPS 12. Believe me, this formula is resembling to EPS 12 and not MPS 12. Correct. My question is, can I use the same formula in MPS 12 also? And why am I using this in NPS 12? I should use it in EPS 12. I should take earnings of first company, earnings of second company plus synergic gain divided by this. How this is MPS 12? Any student who can give me the answer? I cannot use this formula. I cannot use the formula of EPS 12 in MPS 12. What is formula for EPS 12 is this? Can I use the same formula for finding out MPS 12? Instead of earnings, I will be taking market value. Yes or no? Can I take it or not? Sachin? Sakshi?
Yes, sir, you can take.
How I can take? This is formula for earnings. I have never written MPS 12 is equal to this formula. Anyone can give the answer.
Sir, you can
Yes.
take
Yes.
because
Yes.
Sir, the synergic gain is in terms of market value. So
Exactly. Stuti, you are correct. See, understand, when you are taking this formula, what you are doing? You are combining both the earnings, then you are combining the benefit in terms of earnings. That is your total earnings divided by total number of shares will be nothing but earning per share. Now, if you want to find out market value, you can find out MPS 1 by this formula. That is market value of company 1 plus market value of company 2. But now synergic gain should be in the terms of market value and not in terms of earnings. In this question, synergic gain is in terms in market value. See, when this question was asked, people felt it is extremely difficult question. But when you understand it from conceptual point, it is very easy. M1 plus M2 plus synergic gains in terms of market value divided by N1 plus N2 into exchange ratio is also formula for MPS 1-2. But every time write down this. When you write down synergic gain in EPS 1-2, it is in form of earnings. When you write down synergic gain in terms of market value, it is in forms of value. I have done the same formula and I have found out MPS 1-2 is equal to 58 rupees. Alright. How much should be payable to them? 250 lakhs genuinely if we just calculate their market value? What you are giving them? You are giving them 5 lakh shares. Of which entity? Merge entity? You are giving of Elrond Limited, but after merger. Is it correct? So 5 lakhs into 58. This is what you are giving them. Is it correct? You will be giving them 5 into 58. That is 290 lakhs. And this answer is, see, try to concentrate what we are finding out. What actual worth we are giving to the shareholders of selling company? 290 lakhs. What is payable to them if we consider only their market value? It is 250 lakhs. How much more we are paying? We are more paying 40 lakhs. Then this 40 lakhs is nothing but a true cost of merger. Alright. Try to concentrate. What is the value of merger? What is value of merger? Value of merged entity minus value of previous entity. That is nothing but value of merger. Here we are not saying what we are giving, what we are not giving to selling company shareholders. But if someone finds tells you to find out true cost of merger, correct? It is N2 into exchange ratio. This is number of shares issued to selling company shareholders multiplied by MPS 1-2. Believe me, this is worth actually given to shareholders of selling company. Is it correct? It is N2 into exchange ratio, that is 5 lakhs into MPS 1-2. Start. Minus N2 multiplied by MPS 2. This they should be getting if you consider just their market value. This is value of a selling company based upon MPS, market price per share. What you are giving more than market price per share is this, which is termed as the true cost of merger. So, put it in your formula book itself. Put the formula first, then your understanding should be absolutely clear. Believe me, no question will be difficult. If sometimes value of merger or true cost of merger is actually asked, they are just asked 2 times before this. But if it is actually asked, the question should become extremely easy. Value of merger, value of purchasing company after merger minus value of purchasing company before merger. Difference is value of merger. True cost of merger, what market value should be issued to selling company and what actually you are giving them. Difference between that two is true cost of merger. We have found out true cost of merger, which is 40 lakhs. That was the only point in this particular question. 7.3.2. This will be doing in the chapter of valuation. I've already transferred it in the chapter of valuation. Valuation will be doing it. 7.3.3. Alright, this is again a simple question. Simple question is having Simple Limited. Simple Limited and Dimple Limited are planning to merge. The total value of the companies are dependent on fluctuating businesses conditions. The following information is given for the total value, that is debt plus equity structure of each of two companies. This is Simple Limited, Dimple Limited, and this values are total value. That is the debt plus equity. High growth, medium growth and slow growth. Simple Limited value first I will be calculating. Then I will be going for Dimple Limited. The current debt of Dimple Limited is 65 lakhs. It is of this company. And Simple Limited is 460 lakhs, which is of this company. Calculate the expected value of debt and equity separately for the merged company. So even if there is a merger, you need to find it out separately. What? Value of debt and equity. Value of debt and equity. Alright. This is 820. Alright, let me first draw up Simple Limited. There are three situations: high growth, medium growth and slow growth. What are the probabilities for same? 0.20, 0.60, 0. What is chances of total value? Is 820, 550 and 410. Alright, this is 460. So I need to find it out separately. Alright. Total value minus debt is equal to value of equity. What will be value of debt? See, value of debt is not having any probability. So in any scenario, value of debt is going to remain 460. So what will be value of equity? It is 820 minus 460, which is 360. 550 minus 460 is 90. This is minus 50. And what will be value of debt? Try to concentrate. In each scenario, what will be value of debt? Will be nothing but 460, 460 and 460. This will be value of debt. Alright. Now try to concentrate a theoretical concept. Number one, value of equity in negative basically means shareholders will have to pay this money to company. See, if I am shareholder of Reliance, you might have heard this word. Liability of a shareholder is limited. Liability of shareholder is limited. It cannot be negative. But here there is negative. Alright. So I will be taking this value as 0 because it cannot be negative. I will be taking this value as 0. But understand, in this scenario, total value of firm is going to be 410. We have converted it into 460. See, if you do 0 plus 460, this is total value. It should be 410. We have made it 460. How are we making it 410? I'll tell you. It will be this value which will be reduced to 410. So, loss of equity shareholders will be borne by debenture holders. I'll tell you why it is actually correct. Whenever shareholders requires to bring, say 50 crore, say amount is in lakhs, 50 lakhs rupees, they will not bring in this amount. Why they will not bring in this amount? Because their liability is limited. So who will bear this loss? This money debenture holders will be receiving less. So if the total debentures are say 200 lakhs, forget about interest. That principal that will be refunded at the time of liquidation is only 150 lakhs. This 50 lakhs will not be refunded because it is not recoverable from equity share holders, because liability of shareholders in limited company is limited. So actually it should be reduced from debt. So total value, if you calculate, it will be 820, this will be 550, and this will be 410, and which is a correct answer. Try to concentrate. I am finding out expected value of equity. What is value of equity? It is a 360, 90 and 0, not minus 50. Minus 50 I have converted into 0. What is the probability? Probability is 0.2, 0.6 and 0.2. That's correct. This will be 360 into 0.2 is equal to m plus 90 into 0.6 is equal to m plus MRC is 126. This is expected value of a simple limited of equity. What will be of debt? Very simple. What is the value of debt? 460, 460, 410 into 0.20 into 0.60 into 0.20. So this will be your answer of value of debt. 460 into 0.2 is equal to m plus 460 into 0.6 is equal to m plus 410 into 0.2 is equal to m plus MRC is 450. This is expected value of debt. Total expected value. This is not asked. They are asking value of debt and equity separately. But if total expected value is asked, it is 450 plus 126. This is 576 lakhs rupees. Similarly, I can do of Dimple Limited. Total value in each scenario is 1050, 825, 590. Value of debt is 65. Yes. See, what I can do is, I am finding out expected value of total. This is 0.20, this is 0.60 into 0.20. It is 1050 multiplied by 0.2 is equal to m plus 829 multiplied by 0.6 is equal to m plus 590 multiplied by 0.2 is equal to m plus. MRC is 825.4. Expected value of total. What is value of debt? Value of debt is 65 lakhs. Remaining will be value of equity. Expected value of equity 825.4 minus 65 is 760.4. It is a value of, sorry, you will say me, sir, you have done both the companies by different method. Believe me, it is same method. In this company, had you done by this method, you would have got same answer. No, because of this. Here you are shifting something. The value of that is not constantly remaining 460. It is changing. So in this question, you will have to do it separately because value of equity is once going into negative. Here it is not going into negative. Alright. So if you separate that and then find out value of equity and value of debt separately, this is value of debt and value of equity. Even you can see your suggested. It is, yes, it is correct. Just there is a rounding of difference. That is absolutely alright. We have done m plus, they have just rounded it off. That is alright. But understand the value, if you see your book, they have calculated this also separately. Believe me, it will give you same answer. There will be no change in your answer. Sorry. This can be a question of valuation of company. This can be a question of merger and acquisition. There can be an argument, sir, it is for merger and acquisition, but that argument is useless. Alright, we have done it in merger and acquisition. It is absolutely alright. 7.3.4. Alright, 7.3.4 is the dumbest question which an institute can ask. It is full of error. Is it alright? And many a time student ask me that, sir, if there is an error in the question, what should I do? How should I tackle that error? And for that particular purpose, I have included this particular question. Believe me, conceptually, this is a good question. If there was no error, it was a good question. But there is an error. What I am doing is, I am changing some of the figures to make a question correct. Alright. Let us go to the question which is incorrect. Longitude Limited is in the process of acquiring Latitude Limited. Longitude is a purchasing company and Latitude is selling company. On the share exchange basis, following relevant data are available. Profit after tax is 140 and 60. Number of shares is 15 and 60. EPS is given, which was not required. Why? Profit after tax divided by number of shares is nothing but earning per share. Alright. So, it should be 140 divided by 50. Which is 9.3333. What answer is given is 8. Believe me, however logically you will do this sum, it will not be absolutely logical. Right? It will be a dumb question. I am changing this figure to 9.3333. Sorry. Sir, if it is asked in examination, what should I do? The calculation of EPS in question is incorrect, so we have rectified it. You can write down the statement in your answer. Sorry. What, even this EPS is incorrect. Is it alright? It is 60 divided by 16. It is 3.75. Let me verify it. 60 lakhs divided by 16.
Yes, sir.
Yes, it cannot be 8. Is it correct?
It is 3.7.
60 divided by 16 is 3.75. It should be 3.75. PE ratio given is 15. And I know I can find out MPS. How I can find out MPS? EPS multiplied by PE ratio. So 9.43 multiplied by, 9.4 times 3 into 50 is 139. It is 140. And this will be 37 point. You are required to calculate pre-merger market value per share. I have found out pre-merger market price per share. This is MPS 1. This is MPS 2. I have found out both answers. The maximum exchange ratio the purchasing company Longitude Limited can offer without a dilution of EPS. See, it was an incorrect question. So then also I took it because it is having a good concept. It's correct. The maximum exchange ratio Longitude Limited can offer without a dilution of EPS. Exchange ratio without a dilution of EPS of purchasing company. First, try to understand what does this mean. This means your exchange ratio should be so much so that purchasing company's EPS after merger should be equal to purchasing company's EPS before merger. There should not be any dilution or reduction in EPS. Is it alright? So this should be proved after you find out this answer. Exchange ratio without a dilution of EPS. Is there any synergic gain? No, there is no synergic gain. Is it alright? I am finding out exchange ratio without dilution of EPS. Is it alright? Try to concentrate over here. Is it alright? What EPS we are having right now? It is 9.4 times 3. Is it right? EPS 1 will be 9.4 times 3. Is it right? What EPS you want? You want EPS 1 2 should be 9.4 times 3. Is it right? It is EPS 1 2 should be equal to 9.3333. What is formula for EPS 1 2? Earnings of company 1 plus earnings of company 2 plus synergic gain in terms of earnings, which is 0 in this case, divided by N1 plus N2 into exchange ratio. Start. What is earnings of company 1? Earnings of company 1 is 140. Earnings of company 2 is 60. Synergic gain is not given 0. It is given, it should be ignored. N1 is 15 lakhs. All the figures are in lakhs. So denominator RSI. N2, I know it is 16 lakhs. Multiplied by exchange ratio. There is only one variable in the equation, so it can be easily found out. Is it alright? I am finding this out. 15 plus 16x. Lakhs I am ignoring. Is it alright? It is 140 plus 60 lakhs divided by 9.3333. Lakhs divided by a normal figure will be, answer will be in lakhs, and this answer is also in lakhs. So it is 200 divided by 9.3333 will be is equal to 21.4286. 15 will go on this side and will be reduced, minus 15. The 16 now will be divided by 16. It is 0.4017. X, which is exchange ratio, is 0.4017. I found it. 4019 or 4017. Start. Let me do it again, whether I am correct or not. Probably I am correct. It is 200 divided by 9 minus 15 divided by 60. It is 0.4178. Try to concentrate my drafting of answer. If exchange ratio is equal to or is less than equal to 0.4018, then there will be no dilution of EPS. Once again, if the exchange ratio is less than equal to 0.4018, believe me, if it is exactly equal to 0.4018, it will remain equal. If it is more than it, your EPS 12 will be reduced. If it is less than it, your EPS 12 will increase. But increase, there is no problem. There should be no dilution of EPS of purchasing company. Is correct. What I have done, I have taken EPS 12 is equal to EPS 1, and then I have found out exchange ratio. That exchange ratio should be maximum what a purchasing company should be paying to the shareholders of selling company, and their EPS will not be reduced. It will remain equal if exchange ratio is 0.4018. See, I have done a long calculation. I want one student to give me answer in a shortest manner possible. Exchange ratio without a dilution of EPS of purchasing company. I want exchange ratio by any other method, whatever you like. Answer should be this. Yes, Sachin.
Sir, okay, speak.
Jaimini, you can give the answer. Okay.
Sir, EPS of targeting company divided by EPS of acquiring company.
Exactly. See, why I took this question even if it was incorrect? This proves that if you keep EPS, if you know that previous start of earnings, if exchange ratio is based upon EPS, if the exchange ratio is based upon EPS and there is no synergic gain, then EPS of purchasing company remains same. The benefit of purchasing company remains. Here they are having same number of shares, so it does not matter. Is it all right? So EPS of selling company divided by EPS of purchasing company. What is EPS of selling company? It is 3.75. What is EPS of purchasing company? 9.3333. 3.75 divided by 9. It is 0.4017. Is the answer same? The answer is yes. Sir, had we done this question by this method, we will be getting marks? Of course, yes. You will be getting 100% of marks if you follow this. Believe me, if I am a paper checker, I'll cut your 1 marks if you do this. This means you know the calculation, you don't know the concept. Sorry. This means you know the concept, and that is important. Believe me, everything in world is done by computers. No person is today finding out MPS 1 to APS 1 to. Everything is done by computers. What is important is your understanding, and here your understanding is absolutely clear. Believe me, the same thing will not happen in MPS. Why in MPS? There is the difference in PE ratio that should be considered. In this question, the question is incorrect, answer is incorrect. That is all right. But we will be doing it by perfect method. In MPS, we will have to do the same method, this method. This method cannot work. Is it all right? Because there is the total profit will be same, will be is equal to synergic gain. But there is a synergic gain because of change in PE ratio. See, the selling company's PE ratio 10, purchasing company PE ratio is 15. Let us do that. The maximum exchange ratio of Longitude Limited can offer without a dilution of MPS, market value per share. Is it correct? Assuming PE ratio is remaining same of Longitude, which is nothing but $50. What is right now MPS 1-2? MPS 1-2 is 140. Sorry, MPS 1 is 140. What should be the exchange ratio so that MPS 1-2 is not less than? Let me do it with equal to. Once it is equal to, we'll find out it should not be less than. So MPS 1, 2 should not be less than MPS 1. Inequalities first should be converted into equalities. So we have converted into equalities. Let me find out when MPS 1, 2 should be equal to MPS 1. Sorry. What is MPS 1? 140? So MPS 1, 2 should be also equal to 140. What is MPS 1, 2? EPS 1, 2 multiplied by PE ratio. What is EPS 1, 2? We don't know. EPS 1, 2, PE ratio we know is 50. So EPS 1, 2 should be equal to 140 divided by 50. It is 140 divided by 15. It is 9.4 times 3. This should be EPS 1, 2. Yes, if this is EPS 1, 2, what should be exchange ratio? Believe me, the answer will remain same. Exchange ratio should be, because here also EPS 1, 2 should have been 9.4 times 3. So exchange ratio will be is equal to 0.4018. If exchange ratio is this, not more than this, there will be no dilution. If exchange ratio is less than equal to 0.4018, there will be no dilution in MPS. Sir, why we can't find out this? Exchange ratio should be MPS of selling company divided by MPS of purchasing company. Is it alright? I have asked you questions, so you will be answering me this. Is it alright? Why if I do this, this answer is not solved? Can anyone tell me?
Due to sir PE ratio.
Exactly. Try to concentrate. The sum says there is no synergic gain. But if you will find out the exchange ratio by this method, and if you will find out the profit to shareholders of both companies or gains because of merger, you will be getting positive answer. How much positive answer? That also I can tell you. What is earnings of selling company? 60. First it was multiple by 10 PE ratio. Now it is multiplied by 15 PE ratio. Alright. So there is 300 of synergic gain in terms of value and not in terms of earnings. Alright. So even if they are saying ignore synergy, when you do it by concept of market value, when you do it, when you multiply it by PE ratio, there is a synergic gain. Alright. And we want an answer that MPS 1, 2 should not be less than existing MPS. So that gain will be covered in this. You cannot take this as a direct formula. The reason is because PE ratio concept is involved. Believe me, if PE ratio of both companies would have been same, if this figure was 50, believe me, this answer and this answer would have been same. Alright. So, every time you cannot take the exchange ratio. If there is a dilution of EPS, you can take earning exchange ratio based upon EPS. If there is a dilution of MPS question, believe me, you cannot directly take it. You need to have this long cut method and find out the answer. If the question is asked incorrectly, this is how I would answer. Sir, I would skip that question. Don't do that. If the question is incorrect and if you have attended it, whether correct or incorrect, you will be getting full marks if it is proved that this question is incorrect. Believe me, suggested also in all the books in which this answer is written, they have termed that this question is incorrect. Even in suggested, they have written that answer given is incorrect. Is it all? So I have found out absolutely correct answer by rectifying some question. Is it all? Some portion of question. We are going to 7.3.5. Also, I have transferred this to valuation. Valuation is next chapter, so we will be doing this the same question in the chapter of valuation, and it is a classwork. 7.3.6 we have already done. This question is the same as 7.1.13. You can just watch the classwork of 7. This is classwork. So we are not redoing it. 7. Somewhat good question. H Limited agrees to buy over a business of B Limited effective on 1st April 2012. So H Limited is purchasing company and B Limited is selling company. The summarized balance sheet of H and B Limited as on 31st March 2012 are as follows. So this is how many marks question? 12 marks question. It even looks like 12 marks question. But when I'll answer it, it will not look like 12 marks question. It is very small. Equity shares are given. Equity shares of this company is given. Reserves and surplus is given. Total liability is given. Total assets are given. There is a deferred tax asset. That is absolutely alright. H Limited proposes to buy out B Limited. And the following information is provided to you as the part of scheme of buying. The weighted average post-tax maintainable profit of H Limited and B Limited for last 4 years are 300 crores and 10 crores. So H, B, they have given future maintainable profits, which are 310. All the rupees are in crores. Both the companies envisage a capitalization rate of 8%. There is a capitalization rate which is 8%. I'll tell you what does this mean and how to find out the value of the company based upon capitalization method. H Limited has a contingent liability of 300 crores. As on 31st March 2012, this I need to consider. H Limited to issue shares of rupees 100 each to shareholders of B Limited in the terms of exchange ratio as arrived on fair value basis. So exchange ratio will be on fair value basis. What is the fair value in finance? They should give it. What is fair value between two companies? Please consider weight of 1 and 3 for value of shares. So what should be considered as weight is 1 and 3. For the value of shares arrived on net asset basis and earning capitalization method. Is correct. So here it should be taken, which method should be used over here is net asset basis, exchange ratio, and this should be capitalization. Again, a good concept of just how to find out exchange ratio by different methods, or how to value selling company by different methods, earning capitalization method respectively for H Limited and B Limited. Alright. You are required to arrive at a value of a shares of both H Limited and B Limited under net asset value, earning capitalization method, and exchange ratio based upon fair value. That is absolutely alright. This we will have to find out. But net asset of H Limited and B Limited, that is my first answer. Net asset of H Limited, B Limited. You can do by assets minus outside liability. You can do by equity plus reserves. I am doing it by equity plus reserves. The answer might differ because there is some deferred tax asset. Correct. Are they real asset? The answer is yes. They are not fictitious asset. which you can just reduce. So answer will be same probably. I am going by this side. Either you take total, there are no outside liability. So either you take total assets or total liability, it does not make any difference. H limited is 1300. It is net asset directly. And this is 31.5. All the rupees are in crores. Minus, there is a contingent liability. Assumption, contingent liability fully will crystallize and company will have to pay the full amount. H limited has a contingent liability of 300 crores. Here there is no contingent liability. Net asset will be 1031.50. And believe me, you can never do total of it. Whenever you want to find out exchange ratio, you need to find out per share. What are number of shares? 100, 350, it is 3.5 crores, is correct. And this will be 0.65 crores. Number of shares, all the values are in crores. These are also crores, these are also crores, these are also crores. And this is net asset per share. So what is net asset per share is 1000 divided by 3.5, which is 285.7142. And this is 31.5 divided by 0.65. It is 48.46. Exchange ratio based upon net asset per share. It is net asset per share of selling company divided by net asset per share of purchasing company, which is 48.46 divided by 285.71. Let me find out exchange ratio. 48.46 divided by 285.71. Exchange ratio will be 0.1696. Exchange ratio based upon net asset of each company. Let me go to capitalization. The net asset you might have done n numbers of times in amalgamation, so I'm not repeating it. This is a new method which you have learned in capitalization method of valuation of goodwill, but it is foundation error, so let me revise it. Any company who is actually earning profit of 300 lakhs, 300 crores, and having a cost of capital, required rate of return or industry capitalization rate or industry, what industry is earning, is it correct, is 8%. Then what will be the value of the company is 300 divided by 8%. Is it correct? How I tell you? 300 divided by 8% is equal to, it is 3750. And this will be 10 divided by 8%, 125. See, there are two ways of logically understanding this. What is this happening? Sorry. It is present value of infinite cash flow without growth. If this company is having a future maintainable profit up till infinite point of time of rupees 300 crore, if your required rate of return is 8%, what is the value of the company today? Value of the company today is cash flow of first year divided by rate of interest. Present value of infinite cash flow without growth, this is 300 divided by rate of interest is 8%. What does this give? It gives the value of the company today. Value of the company today is 3750. Another idea of logically understanding this is, this company is actually earning 300 crore rupees profit. Any company in same industry, if they want to earn 8 rupees, they should be having a value of 100 rupees. Means they should make an investment of 100 rupees. Means they should be having equity of 100 rupees. Means the value of the company should be 100 rupees to earn a profit of 8 rupees. If you are actually earning 300 crore rupees, what should be your value of company? Cross multiply it. It is 300 into 100 divided by 8. It is 3750. It is the same thing. It is same thing. Start it. Are you getting it? So logically, both the ways, this is value of the company. Just capitalization rate, don't mug up. You need to divide it by percentage. Sometimes what people do is they divide this figure, and this figure is nothing but capital. Suppose they divide capital by capitalization rate and then say we don't get the answer. How you will be getting the answer? This should be a profit figure. This should be earnings figure. This should be earnings of first year, cash flow of first year to get this answer. This should be earnings figure. This should be profit figure to find out the answer. So this is based upon capitalization method value of the company. Again, you cannot take a total value of the company. You need to find out exchange ratio based upon capitalization rate. So you need to divide it by, let me continue it over here. It is 3750 and 125. Let me even change the color. Number of shares are 3.5 crore and 0.65 crore. So capitalization value per share will be 3750 divided by 3.5 crore. It is 1071.43. And this will be 125 divided by 0.65. It is 192.31. And so exchange ratio should be 192.31 divided by 1071.43, which is 0.1795. This is exchange ratio based upon capitalization value, which is capitalization value per share of selling company divided by capitalization value per share of purchasing company. Start. Now they are telling me to find out exchange ratio based upon fair value. Which value should I take? This or this? Both of them in weighted average, where net asset value is having a weighted average of 0.1696, and this is the exchange ratio, and this is 0.1795. This is I, this is W. I need to find out sigma IW divided by sigma W. It is 0.1795 multiplied by 3 plus 0.1696. There's a sigma IW divided by sigma W is 4. It is 0.1770. This is exchange ratio based upon fair value. Exchange ratio based upon fair value. So again a good sum. Why? Because exchange ratio, two new formulas of capitalization value per share and net asset per share. Net asset per share we have done, but capitalization value per share exchange ratio is new concept in 7.3.7. But this is not worth 12 marks. I was explaining you, so it took some time. Otherwise, it is very simple to be solved if you are having this. 8 again, I have transferred it to valuation. Believe me, the concept of merger and acquisition and valuation is same. But as we are going to take valuation as a separate topic, is it alright? This can be a question of merger and acquisition. It is absolutely alright. But I've done it along with valuation so that it is easily understood. 7.3.9. Please concentrate. This question exactly is of internal reconstruction. See, what is merger and acquisition? It is external reconstruction. If you are having a bad time in your business, some another company is purchasing your company, then it is external reconstruction. Is it correct? So, in November 2011, a question was asked of internal reconstruction, where the internal people of the companies are helping the company to get out of the situation. Sorry, not advisable to do it, but understand this internal reconstruction is a chapter of accountancy at intermediate level. If sometimes it is asked in accountancy, and if you have done that logically, believe me, it becomes extremely easy point, and you get probably 10 marks for it. The following is the balance sheet of Grapefruit Company Limited. I'm explaining you some concept of accountancy, which is internal reconstruction. As on 31st March 2011, there are equity shares, there are preference shares, there is debentures, debenture interest accrued, loan from bank, trade creditors, land and building, plant and machinery, furniture and fixtures, inventory, sundry debtors, cash at bank, preliminary expenses, cost of issue of debentures, profit and loss account. Sorry. They are asking me, there will be some internal reconstruction scheme. They are asking me, show the impact of financial reconstruction on company's activity. So what are the profit and loss for the situations? Let me do it. Reconstruction account. On credit side, I'll be writing profits. On debit side, I'll be writing losses because of reconstruction. Also, I will be preparing a fresh balance sheet. As I am a faculty, I am just explaining you, I can draw a balance sheet in T format, otherwise you will have to do as per the schedule. I am just copying down old balance sheet. Land and building 200. So this is my way of solving internal reconstruction. Plant and machinery 300. Everything I will be writing 8 in inner column. Furniture and fixtures 50. Inventory 150. Data 70. Cash at bank 130. Preliminary expenses 10. Cost of issue of debentures 5. Profit and loss account 525. Let me write it down over here. It will not go on credit side because equity share capital 600. Or unlex 14% preference shares 200. %13% debentures 200. Debenture interest 26. Loan from bank 74. Creditors 340. Let us see how these are the internal peoples, how these internal peoples are helping to cover our huge losses on debit side of balance sheet. Is it all right? The company did not perform well and had suffered sizable losses during last few years. However, it is felt that the company would be nursed back to the health by proper financial restructuring, Consequently, the following scheme of reconstruction has been drawn up. The equity shares are to be reduced to rupees 25 per share fully paid up. So how many shares were there? 100, that is 6 lakh shares into 100. So it was 600. Now it will become 6 lakh shares into 25. That is 150 lakhs. What will be the profit is 450 lakhs. Start it. So equity share capital will be reduced by 450 lakhs. That will be and will remain 150. That will be profit because of reconstruction, which is 450 lakhs, because our liability, equity liability has reduced. Start. Preference shares are to be reduced with a coupon rate of 10%. So now instead of 14%, it will become 10%. To an equal number of shares of rupees 50 each. They were of rupees 100 each. Now it will become of 50 each. Is it alright? So 2 lakh shares of 100 were there. Now it will become 2 lakhs of 50. So first it was 200 lakhs. Now it will be 100 lakhs. So there will be a benefit of 100 lakhs and now it will be 100 lakhs. What is the benefit? 100 lakhs. Preference liability reduced. 100 lakhs. Start. I'm not accountancy teacher. I'll be giving you journal entry. Journal entry is nothing but preference share capital is reduced. It was liability credit balance. So now it will be debited. Preference share capital account debit to reconstruction account. Preference share capital will be reduced and reconstruction it will appear on credit. See, who are helping? Internal people are helping to restructure the company. Third, debenture holders have agreed to forego accrued interest due to them. What is accrued interest? 26. This will be benefit. Accrued interest liability reduced. 26. In future, the rate of interest of debenture is reduced to 9%. Future, it will be helpful. Right now, there will be only change in rate. So there is no benefit over here. This will remain 200. This will become 0. Trade creditors will forego 25% of amount due to them. Sorry. Minus 25%. This will be the benefit. Sorry. 4 8s are 32, 4 5s are 20. This will be 85 lakhs. Sorry. So 85 lakhs will be creditors are reduced. Sorry. The company issues 6 lakhs of equity shares at the rate of rupees 25 and the entire sum was paid on application. So new equity shares is 6 lakhs multiplied by 25. So equity will be added. 6 lakhs multiplied by 25. Believe me, these are also 25 rupees shares. 6 into 25 will be 150 lakhs more. You cannot just add in liability. This is neither your profit nor your loss. This is issue of liability, that is issue of equity share capital. Your equity will increase, your cash will also increase by 150 rupees. Cash account debit to equity share capital, that is the journal entry. The entire amount was fully subscribed. Land and building was to be revalued at 450 lakhs. Land and building plus 250. It is again a benefit. Asset is increasing 250. Asset account debit to reconstruction. The plant and machinery was to be written down by rupees 120 lakhs. Minus 120 is loss. Reduction in plant and machinery asset 120. And the provision of 15 lakhs for doubtful debts is to be made on debtors. Minus 15. Again it is a loss. Provision on debtors is 15. There is no other points, but whenever you are doing restructuring, this type of thing, preliminary expense, cost of issue of debentures and P&L account should always be written off. Alright. So this is written off, this is written off, this is written off. This is the reason why you are doing reconstruction. Starting. So this is minus 10, minus 5, minus 525. 10, 5, 525. Fictitious assets which are written off. Is there profit or loss in restructuring? 450 plus 100 plus 26 plus 85 plus 250 minus 120 minus 15 minus 10 minus 5 minus 525. There will be capital reserve of 209. There is a balance of 209 which will be transferred to capital reserve. So here there will be new account capital reserve which is 209. If you will take out all the figures in outer column, your balance sheet will tally. Start. This is a question of internal reconstruction. If at all sometimes just to make a paper difficult it is asked, you should be ready to attend some question of accountancy in financial management. Starting. This was last question for merger and acquisition. What we'll be doing in next lecture is we'll be having a brief overview of merger and acquisition, and then we'll be starting with next chapter.